Howdy, you delicious people. I'm here to debut Zombieverse New Blood episodes 3 and 4. So, if any part of this season is to be the most interesting to see reviewed or reactioned to, it's probably going to be these episodes. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens after I upload this to see where things kind of do number wise. But here's what I'll go on and I'll say about these two episodes, that there is a small portion of watchable value with them, but you have to be very patient to get there, and you may not be satisfied by the payoff of that when you get to the action parts of it, because that's all you're really going to care about. Because I'm sorry, in episode 4, like, I was not so jazzed about seeing a person piss and shit in an episode. Yeah, they focus so much so on that they make a whole mission out of it. Oh my god, what a entertaining time this was to just see a person take a dump. So for how I want to go on and how I want to kind of break these down, I have to break them down a very logic way. So first off, in the very beginning of episode 3, we come to find that they have been having a 10-day gap because they've been in hiding. And I'm like, man, you guys have survived for 10 whole days? Like, it just goes right back to the very pilot episode of this first season, or this second season, where they go on and they go to the quarantine place. I would go on and I would say, why do those people even need to leave their homes? Because they just ran out of food? Like, what was the reason? Why did they have to bother to go to this quarantine place, which actually was more dangerous than if they would have stayed in their homes? Really? So, but anyway, we're to have gone through this whole 10-day span where these guys just had nothing better to do. So we come to find after these 10 days that they find out that some club is open. So for how I'm to go on and have people tell me that the world is ending and zombies are running so rampant over everywhere, right? That everybody should be afraid uh to go anywhere and do anything and what have you. Evidently it's really not that much of a case. We could have a club that is blaring music and a zombie apocalypse takes a long bit of time to get attracted to that. Okay, so now we also go on and we have our contestants being separated because the way that they look. And I'm like, man, like, so people are getting fat shamed. Evidently also, like, based on people's looks, they're getting separated in different rooms. What's next? Like, what else can you go on and how can you, like, hurt people's feelings in this show more that are to just. I hope that these people getting paid well enough to do this show. I hope they are. Because, wow. So, because they're getting, like, they're getting treated poorly on a TV show, a national TV or national streaming thing. I have no idea what it is. So but maybe not enough people have seen it, so it's okay. Anyways, so we go on, and we would have uh, found that this club is to kind of just be running as normal. All of a sudden, there's this celebrity that is to do this very special performance. A celebrity who I'm like, I have no idea who this is. Hopefully, she is a big celebrity because maybe she'll be even a bigger celebrity after this show was to have been over. Maybe I have no idea, or maybe she was to be just a fictional singer, anyways. Because if anything, they said that she was performing, and I have no idea what that was, but I'm not quite sure if it was a performance. So maybe it's just a lip sync. I have no idea what that was. So all of this is to go on and come to a head when we find out what the group is really there for. And I want to go on and quickly, if I can, we have Hung Chul, or Hung. I'll go with Hung. We have Hung, who is in season 1, and he's to be foreshadowed quite often as being a zombie, and he's still in the show somewhere. We come to find out in these episodes he's back, Hung, and they go on and they meet up with him and they talk to him, and they find out that he's a zombie, but he has a soul. So he speaks to them like a human. He doesn't go on and even seem to need to eat human flesh. He just is to go on and eat like a certain specific kind of food. But yeah, but uh, they go on and they give every question that they could possibly give to this guy, because we just need some minutes to just like, come on, like, ask him 30 more questions. So then all of a sudden the breaking news hits, and they end up going on to saying how valuable a guy like him is, and how rare he is, and how if you want to go on and sell him, there's a price tag on him. So everybody's like, wait a minute, like even though the world has ended, like we still need to pay some bills, right? Like money is still a thing, right? Yeah, money's still a thing. Yeah. And they're offering a pretty good price tag on this guy. All right. Well, so everybody's looking their chops at this guy. Everybody is figuring out what portion of money they're going to get from him. And in all honesty, with Hung, I would just be like, dude, these people are going to either kill me or they're going to go on and try to sell me. Like, no. Like, F all these people. Like, I'm going to go on and live my own freaking life. Like, no. Uh, like, if anything, I don't need to go on and help anybody but myself. Like, and this guy is probably going to live for freaking ever anyways, so what does it matter? So the guy goes on and leaves, and so the group goes on out back into the club and finds out that the club is now turned into zombies, and the singer is now a damsel in distress. Help me, Obi-Wan, it's my only hope. Anyways, so now we have where the group has to separate in two. Because of course it is. Because we had that happen in the first episode, and I was so annoyed by that. I'm like, we have two missions going on simultaneously. This is just stupid. Why not focus on the one mission, and then, like, who cares about the second one? But regardless, there's two simultaneous missions going on at the same time. So, like, F the club. mission, because who cares about that, right? Because eventually the show does the same thing. We go on to find that the whole, like, because I didn't even, like, I was like, what about the girl? What about the singer? Did they just run? Did the whole group just run away from her and not help her? No, we come to find out that there was a handful of guys that stayed around and were going to help her. So I'm like, oh, like, I thought the whole group left. so So the group chasing after Hong eventually makes their way to this motel. And we find out that these motels have all these silhouettes, and they have to go on and they have to go into these very specific rooms to try and find Hung. Here's the problem here. So, in my brain, we have a group of people, and two people go in at a time to open one door. Is anybody getting the math problem in my brain to match theirs of like you could have gone on and had at least two people open two doors. You could have gone on and had the whole group go inside there and open a number of doors at the same goddamn time. Instead, they go on and they have two people going to open one door, and even that, like, we have people that are going in and out, and they're explaining things, and I think at this point, like, everybody's kind of getting irritated for how long this is taking. But so whoever was to go on and not be at the rooftop by the end of this mission 2 lucked out, because eventually someone got eliminated because of it, of being on the rooftop. So by the end of this episode, we get a twofer as far as eliminations go, and we then go on to the following episode. So they were looking for Hung, and obviously, we go and we find him. So in the episode, they're going on this road trip, and we find out that Hong needs to take a leak. So here's where they go on and they do this whole thing where they pee and pooping, and they have a whole side mission for that. Whatever. I'll be more specific in the spoilers. I don't care to have to repeat all this here. I'll do it later. So and I don't even want to do it then. Like like how can I just pee and poop? There's a mission done. Is that all I need to say? Can I fast track through all that? So here's where they go on and they have an exchanging of clothing going on, which I was like, nice. Like you kind of get these people to, I think, wear a little bit more unique clothing, but also not unique enough. So we have the people go on further into a road trip to eventually get blocked by what is to be this CGI rock thing that tells them, hey, we can't go here. There's a barrier here. So they have to go underground into this like kind of subway station, and they find out that there's this temporary shelter going on. And I'm sorry, but I would not go on and I would not trust sleeping in an area for a second, let alone 2 to 3 hours, while there's people around me that are infected and are probably zombies. That's just me. But for them basically going on and doing this, like I'm going into very much video game terms here. So them going on and sleeping in this section uh, goes on and loads the cutscene of what's going to happen next in the story. We also had them go on to this like little subway station, and they had to talk to like everybody there. They had to give them food, they had to talk to them, ask them how they're feeling, how's their day, how's their zombie twin brother. There was an Olympian judo guy, whoever that is. They had pictures of him to say, yeah, like this is a true statement. He's actually an athlete. Da da da. Like, cool. Uh, like I'm sure. Uh, like yeah, like uh, that is to be a really cool thing that this person is to be this judo athlete. Anyways, so we then go on to have the cutscene. The Olympic athlete twin brother judo thrower ends up becoming a actual zombie and starts tearing through people, and now people don't know what to do. Ah, should we kill him? Should we not kill him? There's this back and forth. So now we go on to the quest of like, well, hey, should they kill him or not? But I think if they would have gone on and done either thing, I think that would have just led to the same result by the end of this episode. Because I'm waiting for that Train to Busan copy and paste from that subway scene that I'd already seen that they're doing anyways. So, with that said, in all honesty, these episodes were just nonsense. Like, how is this entertaining? I want more zombie apocalypse in my zombie apocalypse show. And this, whatever they did, is not it. Like, I'm just. Man, I hope that this was to have been worth watching. And I hope a lot of people view this episode because that'll justify me continuing on this. Or if it doesn't do well, then it's like, well, I'll move on then. Because definitely the views will go on and be back and forth of whether I continue. Like, because man, this was tough. So if a lot of people check this out, I will be willing to go on and continue to see where the next two episodes go from here. If enough people check this out, because like overwhelmingly, I'm like, okay, like compared to some other stuff that I've done in the past, like this was the standout project. So like I was like, okay, like definitely I'll keep doing this then. So with that said, let's go on and break down these episodes. This show is available on Netflix, so I think that's pretty convenient for everybody. Uh, but anyways, I think it's about that time to just go into more nitty gritty details. Like if anything, I'm gonna try to like skip doing much of dialogue stuff. Like if anything, like I think most of what I've already said here is kind of pretty much saying what everything goes on in the episodes. If anything, there's just like me not saying who got eliminated. Uh, there's a little bit of tiny detail, but it's basically me going over what all I mostly just said and filling in a little bit more of gaps. So with that said, let's pause here, and I will get to that moment of me going on and kind of rehashing what all happened in these episodes. Thank you for going on and watching this, even if you watch it for 20, 30 seconds. It's okay. Because at the end of the day, I will keep going on and doing videos. And I think at this point, just the more videos that I do, the better off that this channel is. even though like I've kind of just been exhausted and kind of gotten tired. Plus, also like I'm doing workouts and like I'm just kind of getting a little bit kind of just like worn out from trying to do like workouts and video, and yeah, like it kind of becomes a little bit too much. But anyways, like I just gotta keep going. So with that said, uh thank you for going on and watching this. I appreciate everybody going on and taking the time to watch any kind of length of this content. So I think it's about that time for me to go on and go into full on spoilers about this one. It is spoil time, spoil time. It's about that time again to spoil these episodes. Let me know how you feel about this show so far. If you hate it, if you love it, if you're indifferent about it, if you're just like, oh, hey, yeah, it's another zombie thing to see. Hopefully, people either did already watch this show or at least did watch the first season. Um, because ultimately, uh, people uh will not be coming to these like completely blind. Like, yeah, what is this zombie new blood thing? And then they find out it's a second season or something. And like, well, now I have to go on and I have to watch a whole other season of. Yeah, and the first season is really worth it. This one so far, yeah, no. Maybe the first episode of this second season, but really it's kind of almost feeling like pick and choose your episodes. Like if anything, like the first season it felt like every other episode like had uh some kind of really like interesting thing in it, and like they would have like this like really exciting like first episode, and then the second episode would be like a cool down, and they would just keep that rhythm throughout the show. And I'm like, okay, so you're telling people to just kind of watch half of the season and not watch the entirety of it, because you're gonna get nothing in between those episodes. But this thing, it doesn't know when to ramp it up. It doesn't. Um, but I think that's also just to be like, well, yeah, like just think of the actors, just think of the people, the contestants involved in the show. Like there's only so much cardio they can do. Uh, there's only so much things to have them do that just exhaust the characters. So so yeah, so there has to be like some kind of give and take here. But anyways, I think it's about that time to just pause this here, get on my cast list or whatever's to be a thing to rattle off these episodes and cover. Excuse me. And cover this all. My yawning is clearly because of just the way that these episodes were so exciting. Not because I'm tired or anything. Anyways. Alright, spoilers. So, one thing that I want to say off the bat, they were to have gone on and explained what had happened in the finishing up of the second episode, and we find out that Chef is still alive. I'm like, yeah, but that won't last, all right? Eventually, we'll find out that Chef will come back as a zombie somewhere down the road. I guarantee it. Like I feel like it's going to happen. So if I'm wrong, then like, but I feel he's coming back as some zombie. So, uh, so now we go on to have Din Din and Dex, I believe, and we have to have on the beginning of this episode like a showcasing of all the contestants so far, and then there's two for Patricia and for Chef where there's question marks on them because we don't know if they made it out. So that ends up getting resolved in this episode because Chef says that they both got it out. They both, like, we are safe. So it's like, okay, so they both made it. But the characters couldn't even go on to remember Patricia's name, of all things. Anyways, so they go on and explain that they've been hiding away for 10 days. And now they're scavenging near this campgrounds, these tent areas, to eventually find food and a wetsuit, which they say is the most valuable thing for them to go on and wear so they can avoid getting bitten by zombies. And yet, we rarely, if ever, go on and actually see a human being actually put it on, except for one girl does wear it, but she doesn't even use it. So I'm just like, what was the point of this? Plus, also, by the end of the fourth episode, they end up giving it away anyways. Just like, there is a point where I honestly am to just, for these people, not really get them whatsoever. I don't get the logic there. I don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. I don't get it. So, cut to uh Dex and Din Din and the rest of the contestants eventually realize that there's a club party going on this at the stand. So we have Kim, and Kim is talking about the establishment and like how it's like a sanctioned place or something like that. That it's like a, like, oh yeah, like we'll be safe here. So because they check for infected. So we start to go on and we start to separate the group. Some of them go on the fourth floor, some are on the second floor based on their looks, because we just have to be crappy like that now, don't we? So eventually, once the characters start to realize what floor they're on, they start to get upset by that. It's like, so, like, did we just seriously just get sent down here for a certain reason? And yeah, it's true. It's based on appearance. So the people that go onto the fourth floor find this huge pool party, and all these bubbles are going on, and then there's a flamingo ballooned girl that comes out, and she starts supposedly to perform, but it's more like a lip sync. So now we get to this kiss cam that's going on here, and honestly, the kiss cam part was kind of funny, because if anything, they would kind of do like how in some romance movies where like the characters aren't actually kissing, it just looks like they're hugging and they're just moving their necks or their hands and or their heads, and like, oh yeah, we are making out, but we're not really. But I thought it was kind of funny. Like we have Kim, and I think we have uh, Dex. They kiss, and or no, Din Din. I have no idea. I can't tell anyone apart. Uh, and then they say Dex. So Dex goes on and is supposed to have a moment with this one girl, and he goes on and he vampires or Dracula's uh, his coat over her, and they pretend to. But yeah, so the next person that is to be on the camera is to be hung with two women, and it's like, oh, surprise! They end up having to take off his hat. So they eventually reveal that Hung looks off at the camera, or looks off at the kiss cam kind of screen, and start to notice familiar faces. Then it's like, hey, like if I end up on this camera, then they're gonna go on and they're gonna see me and they're gonna come to me, which of course they do. So it feels like these contestants had all gone on and watched season one and knew who Hung was and knew that he was a zombie. Like, was there some kind of explanation of the prior uh, of the of the people who came from season one to probably say all this? But how would all the contestants know who this guy is by looks and know like, hey, yeah, isn't that the guy who's the zombie from season one? Like, yeah, like just something just feels wrong about this. So, as well as also the guys separate to people in the club are saying how uneasy they are also. So eventually all of the guys go on because the guys who were some of the characters who were sent to that second floor, they go on and they interrupt the pool party and they kind of crash it because they don't care like who's going to stop them. So most of the group, besides maybe DefCon and the guy who makes a joke about, man, I have such big ears, and maybe that's why. Anyways, I don't remember what that guy's name is, and I couldn't be bothered. Anyways, plus also I have my cast list in this certain section of this thing here, so I don't know who everyone is. Anyways, so but it doesn't really matter. It all is to be all on Hung or whoever this woman is that has Quan. So so anyways, the group ends up meeting up with Hung, and it's to say like, wait a minute, weren't you bitten? Like, why are you here? So eventually they go on and they realize that he was bitten, and they're just taking off this guy's clothes and like wanting to like check all over his body, and that's freaking weird. Regardless of who you are. So I thought it was funny how DEFCON was thinking that at any moment there was going to be a horrible situation that was going to go down here. And I actually think that was smart thinking on DEFCON's side. So I was like that makes a lot of sense. So Hung goes on and goes back down to that other floor with everybody for them to all talk it out. So Hung goes on to explain to everybody how his bite mark healed and how he's to basically be a zombie, but not as feral. He goes on and eats kind of a certain kind of food whenever he's getting a hunger, but he doesn't crave human flesh. So everybody is trying to figure it out because evidently none of these people have ever heard of a zombie before, or especially this unique case of zombie. Because, man, this show really went on and hired the wrong people. Or everybody just has to pretend that they don't know about zombies. Uh, but doesn't that make for a really boring show? Doesn't it make for a much more boring show to have to spell this out to everybody? But that's just me. So, but maybe also not everybody has gone on to see a lot of zombie content, and maybe this is their introduction to it all. So, really, this one's going to be the introduction to it all, folks? You could do better. Well, you could always do better, but you could do better than this. No offense, Zombieverse. Zombieverse. Anyways, so they start to realize that Hong is a unique case, and eventually the breaking news will go on and reconfirm that when eventually it comes on. Also, they talk about how Suki, I believe that's how her name is pronounced, is to have gone on and been the culprit to have killed Hong in season one. So they're going on and asking Hong how does he feel about Suki. Well, he won't have to feel much about her for very long, because eventually in this episode she freaking dies anyways. Honestly, let's say this, considering she's now eliminated, Suki was actually pretty attractive. Let's say that. Yeah. And I'll just say that about a number of women, anyways, because a lot of women are very attractive, and that probably lessens what I just said about this girl. But anyways, she was honestly kind of like one of my kind of one of my favorites of this season so far. Hoping that she was going to make it fairly far in this season because she was in the first one. Like, why not go 2 for 2? But anyways, so speaking of Suki, she goes on and meets with the singer Quan, and she's with Kim. So it seems that Suki and Quan are besties. They know one another. I don't know why, but they do. So there's this awkward moment where Kim goes on and hugs her. And it's like, let's not hug. So Quan goes on and leaves, and this is kind of building up to like, okay, like Suki has to perfectly be away from everyone else, and then they have to meet up, and they're like, oh, the confrontation between Suki and Hung. So Suki does go on and rejoin back the group, and eventually there is this hand holding thing going on because I don't want to talk about them going through this stupid he's a semi zombie or he's a Zomzillion or whatever goofy crappy thing that they were saying there. So now on the breaking news, they go on and they talk about how there's no longer going to be helicopters. They're going to be picking anybody up anymore. Um, and also they go on to reveal that Chef and uh, and Patricia, my bad. My mouth is a little bit fluid. Patricia had been saved. So yeah, I hope you come back, Chef. Come back to us, Chef. You're the best thing about this show. I hope you don't turn into a zombie. I hope you're a normal human being. That'd be great. Bear hug some more people on this show. So, but also the other important thing here that helps where they need to go next in this story. That's very loose. This game show, whatever it is. So they end up seeing how valuable Hung really is because he's really Hung, and I've seen it. He whipped it out. I was like, wow, I've never seen one of those before. Never. Anyways, so they say how it seems that Hung has some rare antibodies, whatever that means. And they put a price tag on Hung and they say, hey, yeah, if everybody wants to go on and turn this guy in or say his location, then they're going to get a huge chunk of change, whatever 500 million yen or whatever is. Like, yeah, I don't think that any one of these contestants are actually going to be seeing that kind of money. Uh, but if anything, they might get a pretty decent amount of check after the show is all over. Well, whenever, however long they were to last for, right? So, so we go on and have everybody looking at Hung as a as a check instead of a person or a zom person. And everybody's already going on, and like as Hung leaves to go to the bathroom because he just needs to go to the bathroom because he loves going to the bathroom. Like, hey, doesn't everybody? So as he leaves, everybody in the group starts to figure out, like, well, hey, like, does he even need to be alive for us to go on and and collect that bounty? Like, everybody's chopping this guy up already. Like, can we get a little bit of his arm and and still make some money out of him? Yeah. So the more and more that these people start talking about this, Hung, while they're all talking it out, he leaves and ends up running off. The group ends up starting to run off after him, and we make our way back in the club where we start to see everybody is now turned into zombies. And we find out what had happened in the club, which was interesting, but I don't like how they did it. They just had a number of these people that had come from this elevator with a zombie, and they're grabbing him by the hair. And one thing led to another. The guy that was to be the zombie is grabbing one of the guys and biting him, and then chain reaction, everybody turned into a zombie. So we do find out as Hung is running around that no one is going to go on and attack Hung because he's already a zombie. So, like, hey, I guess he won't go on and be attacked by them after all because he is technically a zombie. He's invincible now. And they go on and they even ask him that. It's like, well, hey, like, are other zombies going to attack you then? Like, we can use you as a meat shield for the rest of this game. And if anybody told me that, I'd be like, you, like, you're not going to use me as a shield. Like, I'm going to use you as a shield. I'm going to grab you and just have zombies just gnawing you all the goddamn day long. Anyways, so here's where we go and we find out that Quan is to be help me, help me, Obi-Wan. I'm in you. Help me now, help me. Anyways, so Quan is stuck, surrounded by the pool area. And you would have probably have thought that maybe the guys who were to go on and save her would have figured out a better plan than going into the pool, but that's just me. So, but if anything, we're not going to focus on that now, right? We're going to cut to Hung because that's the real important thing going on. So, they're chasing him through the town, making their way to this hotel. Hung had gone on to mention while he was talking to the guys that he had spent some time at a hotel, and the hotel is to be zombified. So I like how it says for the thing up top there, it says a suspicious hotel by the beach. I like that. There's some times where I couldn't be bothered to read the dialogue because it goes by so fast, as well as also like, why not just say the dialogue instead of just slapping it on the screen? Like, it just kind of ruins the show, in my opinion. Like, if there's a narrator, I would like that, but then also, you would need a narrator for multiple different languages. So, yeah, I don't know. I would have liked the whole narrator thing instead of the dialogue, because you would have to, like, for me, I'd like to pause the screen more. And I just couldn't care less. The dialogue is nothing important enough. Anyways, so we go on to have them figure out that there's a number of silhouettes coming from these windows. So they try to figure out which one looks the most like Hung. They realize that some of the silhouettes have hats, but they realize that it's like, well, wait a minute. there has to be one that has a cane also, because they had gone on to see earlier that Hung had a cane. So they're trying to figure out which silhouette has a cane. So come to find out, Hung will go on and be a room that is in none of these ones that have a person with a hat or a cane or a nothing. And Hung will go on and be in the room that has a zombie where they were saying, like, well, yeah, this zombie isn't really moving. So we'll come to find out that Hung is in the room with none other than the guy who ended up getting killed in season one from the grocery store in season one. Uh, Supposedly, I think this guy was like a baseball player or something like that. Um, and so this guy was He Kwan, I believe is. I'm pronouncing that right? I have no idea. So, yeah, he ended up getting killed in the grocery store. Um, he ends up going in the grocery store. He's the decoy, and eventually he ends up being the decoy that all the zombies end up surrounding. And I guess he ended up just getting painted into a corner, and he ends up getting grabbed by all these zombies and killed. And then we see him later on at some point as a zombie. So yeah, so maybe the guy really wanted to be a zombie. So it's like, hey, kill me quick in this show, so he can become a zombie. Because man, yeah, this guy is getting quite a bit of shelf life, more so than he did on the show as an actual person, uh, as a zombie. So good for him. I'm happy for him. Cause yeah, like you won't get killed in the show, so you'll just keep popping up as a zombie later on. Uh, so here's where we have Joe. Joe, the guy with the blue glasses, the blue sunglasses. He goes on and he makes the whole thing up of like, well, hey, two of us should go in at a time. And so, like, the first two that go in is both Joe and I think it's Suki. So the two of them go in and they end up making their way to 102. They make it to the door and the door is locked. So they realize that they have to go on and figure out where the key is, and they find out that the key is none other than the stairwell. There'll be a whole backstory that comes in that explains that the guy who was to be the original motel owner ended up getting killed by some zombie, and he goes down the stairs and he dies horrifically. So here's where Joe goes on and like you can kind of assume the reason why Joe ends up coming back in and out and explains everything is probably because he's scared. But if anything, I already assumed that Joe would be scared anyways because the early episode one would tell you that. So we go on and we have Joe and Suki going back in. They end up finding out that there is a zombie by the stairwell, and there is a hesitation about them going on and opening the door. So they do eventually go back into the hotel or the motel, and they do open the door, and it's not the right one. And what ends up happening is that instead there is to just be some zombie there. So what eventually ends up happening is Joe ends up getting followed by zombies to where he's forced to go all the way to the rooftop as Suki goes on and leaves outside to the first floor door and just exits. So Joe goes onto the rooftop and explains to them what had all happened, because of course he has to explain what all happened. And they end up complaining to Joe, like, well, hey, like, why are you all the way up there? So there's a red X that appears by room 102 to realize, yeah, that's not the answer. So now a next group of people have to come in, and it's DEF CON, and it's the woman that he's with. I have no idea who she is. Uh, is it? Is it Young? See Young? Lee See Young? I have no idea. So I'm gonna just sound racist if I get it wrong, anyways. Uh, whatever. So uh, so the two, like, if anything, it would have been better if they would have just said the freaking names on the screen. Just slap it somewhere, right? That'd been nice. Anyways, so just as a bit of a like, well, I guess like that would probably also be like, hey, you couldn't tell the people apart, really. Anyways, so DEF CON and I'm assuming Young, uh, they make their way into the hotel and they're trying to figure out which room to go into. And eventually they run into a zombie. Eventually, this zombie will lead DEF CON to make his way to the roof also. So there is always to be seemingly a question now of like, okay, why is it that everybody keeps ending up on the roof? So I believe Young goes on and finds the door that she needs to open, and she does, and again, Hung's not in there. So Young goes back out and figures out where DEF CON was, and we finally have uh, Hung that shouts out to the group, kind of revealing technically where he is, but still, it won't matter because he'll just kind of move around. And so they DEF CON figures out that the screaming is coming from the second floor. Nice observation there, DEF CON. Like I'm not being sarcastic about that. I'm like, wow, he could immediately tell where that shouting was coming from. So we find out that Hung makes his way into room 201. And so we end up having the next two for people going in to eventually be scared off by zombies or to eventually have the two that are left to go into 201. So Hung thinks that he's in a safe place, that basically he picked a good room because they'll never expect him there. So now back, because really we really just have to figure out if they go into his room or not, which they do, and they get him and they find him. But eventually they'll also find that the zombie that was with Hung ends up making his way to the rooftop, and then eventually a person gets eliminated for whoever is left on the rooftop. So now cut back to the club. So we have Quan, who's again damsel in distress. So we have the guys who are to try to figure out how to get to the woman, and I guess they're not having her go to them. They're just going to her, and I guess that's to rescue her. So it's really interesting because the girl is just screaming over and over again, help me," and then eventually they bang on this thing and they like, "Nay, like be quiet." So she's like, "Oh," so she ends up being quiet and then she falls to the ground. So as further inspection, the guys start to notice that music is the key here. That when the music is going on, the zombies are all dancing, they're popping and locking, and so they're really getting into the music and nothing else matters. So it's like, okay, so they realize in this level that the key of this level is to keep the music going, or otherwise the zombies are going to start attacking. So, especially when a human is nearby or an eye shot or eye contact. So, eventually the music does go on and does stop. And we end up going on to have uh, Code. Yeah, I should have known. It was the guy from the first episode that was going on and having the shield and making the armor on his arm, but I guess he doesn't have that now, does he? Anyways, so Code goes on to be the DJ because conveniently somehow Code is to be the DJ. Maybe that's what he was doing before he made his way to the zombie apocalypse, or maybe uh, before they did this mission, maybe behind the scenes they had gotten like some kind of pointers ahead of time of how to work this machine. It's probably what I'm thinking. Anyways, or maybe this guy is a DJ and so he already knew what this thing was. So Code gets on the mixer machine, and eventually the music does start playing, and all of a sudden now the zombies are getting into the music. So over everyone's heads, we're starting to see that the zombies are taken to the music. We see the music note on top of their heads. So then all of a sudden the music stops, and they're like, huh? And so, because eventually they need to keep the music going. Eventually they'll start to realize that the music won't forever be going, and so these guys need to kind of pick their places really, really well. So eventually, this all comes down to the guys that are in the water. They realize that if they get into any danger, that they can just go underwater to avoid getting attacked by the zombies. So what happens here is that two guys end up just going underwater, and Kim ends up having this flotation device. So what will happen is that the guys who are underwater will go on and will rescue Quan, but Kim will go on and end up will be seen by one of the zombies, and that will further lead to Kim uh kind of scrambling, and he'll get swarmed and he'll get killed. Sadly enough, that's what happens to Kim. R.I.P. Kim. R.I.P. So they go on and they take a moment to like reflect on Kim, and I'm like, wait a minute, like, did they do that with Chef and Patricia? Like, I don't remember that happening in their episode. But I guess it didn't because they weren't exactly dead. Like, I guess if you didn't actually see them die, but I was just like, well, you should have done that anyways. So they show like the whole history of Kim and everything that he did, and they have this like black and they have this like saturated thing, and he's like, so credits roll after that. So here's the thing that I have a problem with. So the two missions that they had, like, it seems that they were to go on and explain that they found Hung uh, by the end of that episode. Uh, or at least they do go on and do reveal that by the following episode. So, like, the missions do get completed, but I'm just like, man, it feels like we went on and in that last episode took a long time to just get nowhere, in my opinion. So, so they do find Hung and they bring him out of the hotel, and we now all of a sudden have one of the girls who's saying that they now all of a sudden need to have weapons on them, that they have to have these sticks. I'm sorry, like, honestly, just a stick is actually a stupid weapon. Cause trust me, I think there's a better one. Honestly, if you would have like a broom would be a much better weapon. Because if anything, a broom has like a thick, like, if you get one of those really thick ends, uh like, you can really go on and push some people aside. So if anything, yeah, like, a stick, yeah, could probably go on and create some distance from people, but so honestly could anything. Um but yeah, but like, I don't know, like, a stick is a like, look at The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead did have a stick as a weapon, but like, and it was pretty effective, but like, you can go on and have any long range, like, also there's one point where they had like paintballs by the end of the second episode, so it's like, where did the paintballs go? uh if anything, you would have gone on and given Chef those paintballs, maybe he would have standed a better chance of getting away from those zombies, even though he already did anyways, because he's a beast. Anyways, so let's go on. We have to go on and weirdly count out how many times that a character said, "Oh my gosh," and then they have to tease that it's maybe she'll say, "Oh my gosh" again. You guys have nothing better to do. You know what? I probably should not piss off the people that I would go on to say, "Yeah, like, I really want to be involved in your show if you make an American version of it," which I highly doubt. Because I'm sure it's like, hey, it'd be a lot cheaper to do it overseas than it probably would be in America. Um, and I'm sure, who am I to go on and throw my hat in the ring? But man, like, I would like to do any show that has a zombie theme. Like, I like that kind of idea. Uh, but anyways, yeah, like, I would be the one. They'd be like, yeah, hire this guy. Yeah, definitely hire this guy. Um, so, uh, after they go on and they end up getting hung, here's where they go on and have the zombies all coming out. And here's where we have a number of people all get on the rooftop. And now Quan, I believe it's Quan, um, Quan is to go on and make his way to the rooftop also. And so what happens here is now somebody else has to get eliminated now. So if they had the silhouettes in the motel windows, now they're gonna have the silhouettes at the rooftop. Because we have DEFCON and a number of other people that are on the rooftop, all hiding behind these silhouettes. And there's two zombies that are to be behind these sheets. So what's going to go on here is that the characters have to not make any movements. And if they do, they're going to get killed. So they go on and they consistently say how much time is passing. They say 5 minutes is passing, 10 minutes is passing. And any little movement can go on and probably get these people eliminated. They even say at one point that DEFCON was breathing hard. So what ends up happening is things start to just in the background start to happen. We have like a turkey or a chicken that comes flying into frame. We have the hotel sign, like the O of motel, like bursts, and that's to be the one thing that scares people good enough to where we find out that Suki was to have been the one that moved the most out of everyone. So she's the one that gets killed, sadly enough. R.I.P. Suki. You're gonna be a zombie at some point, right? Maybe she'll be the zombie that is to be human, and maybe she won't be that bad. Anyways, so after Suki ends up getting killed, everybody ends up running off. So we then cut to the rest of the group explaining what had happened to Suki and that she's dead now. So we then go on to everybody going into this RV, and we cut to like basically like the following day. Because I'm sure everybody's like, dude, I ain't sleeping in an RV. I'm gonna go in a hotel and and order room service and have a good old time. So because yeah, like you can say that everything is going in real time. No, it's not. It's not a real reality show. Like it's at a certain time of reality. Then you go back to your normal life. So we have the driver who is upset that Suki is no longer with us. And so and really at that point, we of course go on. We have Hung to blame because of what had happened at the motel. So Hung is going on and telling the guy to take all the main roads instead of the cheapo ones. So they were weirdly saying about how that monster felt guilty about having to kill that girl. And I'm like, whatever. So, and then they also mentioned about how Kim had been killed. And it doesn't really seem that anybody really cared about Kim being killed. If anything, some people didn't even remember who his name was. And it's horrible. But I don't remember who much of these people's names were because I don't know them that well. Uh, and I've only known them for X number of episodes already, and still I don't know them. So here's where uh, Hung is tied up, and he's mentioning how he needs to go to the restroom. So they eventually decide on how to have him still be tied, but tied in a different way. They decide that they're going to go on and they're going to have two people taped to Hung's hands. I'm like, that's the stupidest thing. So, but they do this. So they go to this rest stop, and they go to this bathroom, and what ends up happening here is there ends up having to be some censorship going on because you don't want to show this guy's dick. So what ends up happening is Hung goes on to pee on the guys next to him, and then after he goes on, he completely pisses everywhere. He then goes on and says he has to crap. Why didn't he just go on and pee and poop in the same area? Strange. So they go on and they go in the toilet stall, and eventually they find out that zombies are coming from the stalls next to them. And they also find out that Hong needs some toilet paper because he needs to just wipe his tuchus. So they find out that there's no toilet paper in that stall. So they realize that there's a zombie in the other stall because they're peeking weirdly because they're creeps. And they find out that he has toilet paper. So they're like, okay, well, we can just go on and we can use this cane or the sticks that they have, because one guy has a samurai sword, to go and obtain uh, this toilet paper. And eventually they end up breaking Hung's cane, and as well as also they supposedly get poop smeared all over him, but it's Nutella. And the people of the show, they even say, hey, guys, it's not poop, it's Nutella. Stupid. So the guys are thinking that they have poop smeared all over them, and they keep getting poop smeared all over them. And so while that's going on, the rest of the people outside are doing a memorial for the people who had been uh, eliminated. And eventually, while them doing the memorial for this, eventually some part of the thing that they were having this memorial fell off, and so like, oh, like the spirits are at unrest. So whatever. Just, like, they're gonna turn into zombies anyways, right? So we go on to have the guys leave the bathroom stall, and the one guy, Joe, who had to go on and get the toilet paper, realized that there's poop smeared all over himself. So he's like, hey, I need an exchange of clothes. So Joe changes his clothes, and I'm like, okay, like he's wearing the fedora, and like, all right, nice threads. So if anything, like if I was probably a number of these people, like I would probably want to change a clothes anyways. So here's where they go on and they make their way to this like bridge area where they find out all this destruction is there. So they go to this bridge and they realize that they can't drive anymore. So they go into this bridge to figure out where they can kind of make their way by foot to get further. And they find out that there's this big, huge rock collapse that has happened. So they eventually find that there's an emergency subway passage, and they keep going there, or going into there. They find that there is a door that gets them to uh, the temporary shelter that these people were in. So, as well as also, while they're getting to the temporary shelter, they continue to hear the subway at some points, and they're kind of curious if it's still in operation. So here's where we go on and we have the group making their way to this temporary shelter and meeting with people that are to have uh, zombies in their family. Like, I'm not judging people, whatever. Like, yeah, if you still feel like these people are your family, like you just can't let go of them, then maybe you're gonna think that there's gonna be a cure for them one day, so you're just holding on to them. Whatever. Like just yeah, that's fine. So I also think that if these people are gonna go on and kill someone else, like that's on you. Like if anything, you should probably be charged for murder then. Honestly, because you were the one that was kind of taking control of said person or being their guardian, but that's just me. Anyways, so we'd kind of find that all these people are starting to be infected and probably going to turn into zombies at some point. So we have this whole debate kind of going on about whether or not that these people are still human or if they're zombies or what they are because they're infected. So that kind of takes up a good chunk of this like later half of this episode here. So we also come to find that there are these two brothers, these Olympians who are in judo. Don't with these guys. Don't with these guys who can perfectly figure out a way to beat your ass. But anyways, so I think that these guys were, I think, originally to be brought in to eventually have some at some point where they were to maybe have come in here to teach the contestants how to do judo throws, but instead, like they're just here and they're going to be zombies that are, or they're one of them is going to be a zombie that's going to be a specialty zombie that it's like, hey, don't mess with this guy because he'll throw you around. So this is where it starts to have us realize that there's going to be specialty zombies that will remember bits of their past and they will become much more dangerous than the normal variety of zombies. So the next thing we see is that the contestants start going on and handing food to people and start talking to them. And eventually they'll start asking about like, hey, is the subway still operational? And it seems that they have to go on and find a very specific person to ask this to, because the person will go on and say, well, yeah, like if anything, like not everybody knows or no, not everybody should know exactly where the subway is, but it's like, well, hey, like it seems that this is going to get information be said to them by a very specific number of this group of people, and that's it. So here's where we also have them go onto this table and play this card game thing, which I'm like, man, like you guys can't do anything more exciting here. Like, god dang it, like. But I guess they need to know where they're going before this, uh, before like things start to really pop off here. So the group figures out that there's this secret door. They go down these stairs and then they find out where a subway is. So that's going to be their transition point. So as now they figured out where the subway is and they're going to be thrusted that way by the end of this episode, they eventually all get together and decide to eat and then decide after some time has passed that they're going to go on and they're going to take a nap for 2 to 3 hours. So after they all go on and they sleep, we then have the cutscene where the zombie Olympic twin brother goes on a rampage, and there's to be a guy with a kid, and he notices that this guy is going on and going to attack somebody. So he's the one that kind of intervenes, and people just start getting thrown around. But he is the one that goes on and distracts them long enough to where people need to kind of step in and do something. So even the Olympian's twin brother wakes up from his sleep and goes on like, "Hey, what are you guys doing? Like, hey, that's my brother. Hey, like, don't touch him." Like, so now it comes down to the main contestants here have to step in and have to do something. And if anything, there's to be one simple contestant that was kind of back and forthing about whether or not that these people are zombies or people anymore. And that's the one that they hand the weapon to. It's like, well, you have to choose. Like, you have to choose if you're going to kill this guy or not. Take this weapon, smack him over the head, or like, don't smack him over the head. Hope that the brother's going to go on and stop this guy from doing what he's doing, or the zombie will kill this guy. So eventually, what ends up happening is the girl who ends up getting handed the weapon goes on to hit the guy in the head and kills him. So we finally have a zombie death that is to happen in this show, which was interesting. So after that is to go on and happen, all of a sudden everybody goes on and they start turning on the contestants. They say, "Hey, you just killed this guy." And the woman says, like, "Well, wait a minute. Like, he was a zombie already. Like, he could have killed all of you." And no matter the rationale, still, she killed him. So the whole group starts to turn against these contestants, forcing them down the way of which that uh, was to have them go to get to the subway anyways. And that is to, of course, go on and wrap up our episode. Uh, so yeah, hour and 22 minutes, actually pretty decent compared to the first one. So yeah, I'm gonna get out of here because I know I know I'm kind of yawning and I'm tired. So luckily this will be uploaded. Uh, I know people will probably like kind of get a little ticked off for how uh very I don't go on and I don't cover the same stuff consistently. Uh, but I think this was kind of a unique case to just kind of see where this is to go, and then if no one really cares about it, then I can just move on to other things and see where other projects are to be things. Plus, also, uh, this one on my stats was kind of a thing that I was like, I can't really ignore right now. So uh, that's why I was looking into it. If there are to be anything that is to be uh, really view worthy, then I'll definitely look into that. Like, I was looking at Star Trek more to be like, man, like Star Trek is like certain things of Star Trek I think are going to maybe do well. So maybe I'll have to continue to look into that. So I'm still doing more Star Trek stuff. That'll be an inevitable thing that I'll keep going into because now that I have certain pieces and certain outfits and certain things, like I think I can keep going into that and see where that goes. Anything else? Like I don't know. Like it's like uh, I am almost kind of forgetting all the stuff that I need to cover at this point because there's just so much stuff that I've kind of done um, over the course of just all these random things that eventually I forgot about. Uh, like, will I go on and will I continue to go back into stuff like Sailor Moon at this point? I don't know because if anything, like the pilot episode did really well. The pilot 3 episode thing that I did did really well, and then the following thing I did after that just nowhere. So it's just like, well, like it was nice for a time to do that, but like yeah, it's just like if it's just gonna fall the wayside and no one's really gonna care, then I don't know. Like maybe from time to time, I'll look into some of these projects that I kind of gave up on, um, but also I have more movie physical media stuff to still do. I have comic collections also to still do. Uh, on top of like consistently trying to keep all these reviews, so it's like it's trying to keep all these plates like balancing in the air and hoping that I'll be able to do just enough content uh, to keep feeding into being consistent and keep feeding into people enjoying what I'm doing. If like, and I get it that like all this stuff is very random, and I get it that it's going to be hard to win everyone over, but I'm also like really just like I'm not satisfied by the end result of everything that I'm doing after after every one of these videos are done. I'm not satisfied with just getting um, like a video that just does maybe not even 100 views or 1,000 views. Like I want to go on and be as successful as I was, like find the better content and and that is just because I'm a driven person. Like uh I want to be successful at this. Like success I don't know what really success is. Um or I really like I'm grateful where I'm at, but I also am like but I want to just continue on. I want to have a momentum. I want to uh, eventually get to a point where uh, like I'm completely satisfied of like okay, like I've done everything that I could do. Like I've let no stone go unturned, and hopefully for the best for this. But if anything, yeah, I still also have a lot to learn. I still have a lot also to uh, perfect. Anyways, um, if anything, also I probably should have thrown a lot more money into this, uh, but that's not gonna. There's no way for that to happen, really. Um, I can always just keep grinding on things and hoping that at some point something is gonna come out of all that. But anyways, with that said, I'm gonna get the heck out of here before I've gone on by the end of these videos and put so much feed in my mouth that it's kind of becoming a pattern. So thank you for watching this. Thank you for taking the time to watch 20 to 30 seconds of this video. That seems to be the pattern that I'm seeing. Um, and luckily, at least that still counts as a view. Uh, so hopefully, I'll see where Zombieverse New Blood goes, because I was to go on and be kind of surprised how that first review of the second season is going. Um, but also, like, I was kind of surprised how that first season review was going because, like, okay, it's like 100 and something views right now. So I don't think it's gonna go on and get any higher than that. I probably maybe killed that video by doing something. I have no idea. Uh, I might just be tempted to adjust that thumbnail again. But at this point, I just I don't think it's worth it. So I don't know. I'm gonna get out of here before I completely collapse or fall asleep or whatever. So uh, thank you, thank you everybody for doing all what you're doing lately. Because I know that these videos are hard, and I get that that I've made poor decisions, but like I don't really know what the right decisions are either. Like yeah, like I said, like when I said in that movie Physical Media uh, video, like I had gone on to I think put like too many tags on too many videos, and then the end result would just be that I would find that like I would find out of countless movies or countless movie physical media things, I would find that one thing would pop up as a actual thing that could be like, okay, well, I should probably end up doing this next. I'm like one thing out of like I don't know how many movies that I listed on there. Like one thing came up. Out of like I don't know, like maybe 500 or 600 titles, maybe. I have no idea. Um, like that is just crazy. Uh, but I'm just like, okay, well, um, like that's just what happens when you uh, assume something could be trending on YouTube. It's not. Or even if it, or even when you think it's trending on YouTube, it's not really trending on YouTube. Like for what you could do out of it, it's like, well, uh, like there's just this new thing going on YouTube, and it's just coincident. Yeah, like any number of things could be the like the assumption that you could get your hands on it, but once you get it and you try it, yeah, by the time you get to it, either no one cares, or by the time I get to it, um, it's any number of things of just the way I do it. Uh, but again, um, for some reason, people have continued on this journey with me, and I'm grateful. So, uh, yeah. So I hope for the best. I hope to keep continuing doing content. So I'll do that by wrapping this one up. Bye, everybody. Bye, buddy.